The coming of age genre. If I have to name any decade out there that has to me the best selection of coming of age films, it would obviously be the 1980s. You had a lot of fantastic romance films out there, stories you can relate to, personalities that hit, and most of all, killer soundtracks. This movie is one of them. And I've always wanted to work in a record store. Quiet night. It's peaceful. It's relaxing. It's calm. I can get in with my inner zen and find my own inner peace and just relax, meditate, reflect, and do all that stuff. And I just thought to myself, you know what? There's a movie that I want to discuss with everybody. As for what that movie is, well, the subscribers, the followers, anybody who's been watching my content, both if it's my reviews or if it's a program or whatever, they should know some of the movies that hit close to home with me, and one of them being is Pretty in Pink. Well, straight to business, shall we? Everybody knows that Pretty in Pink is a movie that I just absolutely adore, I cherish. I did a video on this particular film a while ago when I first started this channel, and that review honestly sucked. Why? Because it wasn't necessarily a proper display, there was no format, I was all over the place, mumbo jumbo talking, I didn't have a proper way of focusing, and I was just trying to get involved with the whole, you could say, movie business. But then again, when I first started off, I stayed true to my word that I was going to do nothing but classic reviews, and lo and behold, here we are now, still to this very day. So I figure we're going to do a little talk on this film once again. Now, I've seen this movie how many fucking times? I mean, I got the VHS right here. I also have the Blu-ray where I can look at the bonus content, which is very nice. Yeah, I know, two copies of the same movie, but the difference is different platforms, and this one I can watch the bonus stuff and get more of a proper knowledge on the movie. But then again, Pretty in Pink, the story itself, it's really something magical. Molly Ringwald, she was a heartthrob in her own right when she played in 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club. She was a teen idol. A lot of people loved her, men and women. She was a cutie pie during the 80s, and a lot of guys, a lot of gals even loved her, wanted to be her, and all that other stuff. And this is one of the films to where in the coming-of-age world that she was going to definitely play a really significant part. Because her role playing as Andy, she's middle class. She doesn't live in a nice rich home or even a poor home. She's middle class. She lives in a home. She takes care of her father. She goes to school, tries to get through a day where she has her best friend, Ducky Dale, who is played by John Cryer, who personally for me I see myself a lot as, which I will get to in a minute. But the thing is that since Ducky is her best friend, Ducky's in the friend zone because, well, she doesn't want to be with somebody like him, unfortunately. I mean, sorry to say, but it's the truth, because she only looks at Ducky as a friend. But then again, since senior prom is coming up, she ends up seeing this one guy who's named Blaine McDonald. Blaine's not necessarily a common name for any fellow whatsoever, and he was played by none other than Andrew McCarthy, who is playing a few fair shares of films that I have seen over time. And he was very exceptional in this thing, and all the performances in this movie were great. James Spader, this was when he was a good-looking, hunking guy during that time before he went to go on doing some television programs and later movies as well. But he was a good-looking guy here. He had the wavy hair. He had that heelish attitude of that rich, snobby prep guy. I loved him. Supposed to be Blaine's best friend. He was fucking great. But then again, this is coming from somebody who is a big James Spader fan. But I will digress right there. But the story itself, continuing on, Andy falls in love with this rich guy named Blaine, who once he goes into the record shop to grab an album of his liking, Andy falls from sees that he is not like the other guys or the other rich dudes whatsoever, and obviously Ducky becomes insanely jealous about this because she's falling in love with someone who is obviously way out of her league, and, well, the rest goes right there. And you just basically see how well the relationship goes into what transpires with prom, and you see how Ducky's own emotional convolutions plays an effect throughout the entire movie. Now, the story itself is something that anybody can relate to. It's the whole coming-of-age thing where you got middle class, you got the low class, you got the high class, how they're both separate, like a little civil war in between the high school range because of both where each person has come from, with the middle class and the high class of different perspectives, of different realities. And the thing is that when you learn about someone's background, there's an old saying, just don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, once you open the page and you start reading it, it may look like a terrible cover on the outside or a nice cover, but once you start reading the story, and from the first page into the next chapter and so on, you will start learning more about said person. And that's what Andy did when she got together with Blaine, was they got to know each other and went on a nice date, and obviously prom coming in effect. But the thing is, folks, I already said the performances were just absolutely magical, something you can relate to. The entire scenery it's that high school teen romance that's going on. Personal relations between the high and lower class, the emotional convolutions. Now, this is where I'm going to talk about why I have so much of a personal connection with someone like Ducky. Because Ducky was his own guy. He had his own style when it came to his hair, his own style of clothing, his own style of music he liked listening to. He had a sense of humor. He had a good heart. He was very caring. He had respect for a lot of people, especially for someone that he wanted to get together with. But all that happened was, no matter how much of a good heart he had wanting to be with him, and the sense of humor, shyness is a curse, he was just nothing more but a friend. That right there sums up who I am as a person. For anybody who doesn't know, now you know who I am as an individual. I just explained it for you right there. And Ducky is literally, out of any character besides Rick Moranis playing as Seymour Krelborn in Little Shop of Horrors, this is the other character that I have such a personal relation connection to, where there's a girl that you like and friends with, or you want to get to know, or whatever the case may be, and all she does is continuously friend zone you because she wants to be with someone else instead of being with you. So yeah, that definitely hits home with me. But you know what, though? There is a happy ending with Ducky in the end, and it's beautiful for him. And you want to know one thing that I really like about the movie, besides the fact that of the performances, the story itself, but the writing and the dialogue is just very exceptional. All the lines that they were given is something that you can understand their emotions, their feelings, and it hits you right in the heart right here of happiness, sadness, all that stuff. Because, like I said, with the genre that this film is in and something that is truly believable, John Hughes is just fantastic. It's fantastic of a writer, man. He's great. But anyways, as for the soundtrack, I have the soundtrack on the vinyl record format, and it is a pink color. Now, as for the artists, I mean, a lot of my favorites, because I love the new wave genre. That's who I am. That's what I listen to. You have New Order, Joe Jackson, Susan Vega, INXS, Echo and the Bunnymen, the Psychedelic Furs, and of course, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. The film's main theme was If You Leave, written by them for this film. Now, originally it was supposed to be Goddess of Love from the Pacific Age album, but instead, Hughes asked him to do a song for the film that can not only fit the entire theme and motion for the prom scene, but also that will captivate what the movie is in general, besides the main title of Pretty in Pink by Psychedelic Furs being the leading title. But talking about the overall theme itself, OMD was given the job. They gave this album, this movie and the soundtrack album some life, and that also gave OMD some love within the United States as well during that time. One of their first big hits in America, which is a big accomplishment for them right there, dropping some music knowledge for you all. And we all know that infamous prom scene. It speaks for itself, where Blaine came to the prom by himself. Andy and Ducky go together. Ducky tells Andy exactly that he came alone because Blaine felt bad. And obviously, Blaine told Andy exactly, he told me, well, I'm going by verbatim here, that told me anybody wouldn't believe in you, someone along those lines. And he told her that, I'm the one who believed in you. You just didn't believe in me. But then Ducky told her, go for it. So Andy and Blaine ended up becoming a couple towards the end, having that infamous car scene towards the end when they're kissing each other in the fog lights. Oh my god, magical. And Ducky, he gets himself a beautiful chick in the end. So that's good on Ducky. But overall, it's like I said, you got yourself the story where you got middle class and low class. You got the building of a relationship where you see jealousy becomes a factor, where you see you have to learn, if you really truly care about someone, you got to let them go and be happy with another. How one person's own reflections and emotions get the better of them within the jealousy factor. How you see someone who likes another guy, wants to go to prom with someone special, how someone has to care for their relative, wanting to get a job and do better for themselves after a terrible family dilemma that happened. How you see someone like Andy mature over time throughout the entire film. How she becomes not only better as a person, but how she's able to balance her love life as well. Realize exactly that, hey, this guy is the one for me, and despite the different backgrounds we have, we belong together. There's so much I can really talk about with this movie. There's a lot of amazing facts, like, for example, at the end it was originally written that Ducky and Andy were supposed to be together, but because of a lot of disagreements, it just felt like they just all felt like it was going to be awkward. But in the end, in my personal heart, for me, just my own personal beliefs, I still think they do belong together. But in reality, though, watching on screen, the ending we got was a lot better, and it's a lot more perfect. So overall, it's like I mentioned before, Pretty in Pink is a movie that's very dear and close to my heart, with an amazing soundtrack, great personalities, good-looking young actors and actresses, a nice little story, fantastic coming-of-age film that has a meaning, makes sense, and something you can follow and believe in that can actually transpire in reality. Pretty in Pink is a movie I gave it a 5 out of 5 to a long time ago, then and now, and still to this very day, it is my favorite coming-of-age film of not only from the 1980s, but of all time, and this film will always have a personal, close connection to my heart. And this is a film that I can say I recommend to anybody. If you want a good coming-of-age film of what coming-of-age really means, this is one of those movies. If not any film from the 80s, but this is one I would pick out of that entire catalog. So, folks, I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm just going to cut it right there. So, folks, if you've seen Pretty in Pink, let me know down below your thoughts about this film, and ciao for now.